Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocketadio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
And a good morning to you. It is time for Coffee Ann on ON Radio. Wednesday morning, it's August 9th. Thanks for joining us. My name is Joe Callahan. At the Coffee Ann table, Tim Draper from Navigate Credit Union. Good morning, Tim.
Oh, Joe, it's so great to be here.
Why is that, Tim?
Well, because you're off on vacation. You're here. You get your Woo Sox shirt on, so
Yeah,
clearly
that's
you're
right.
going up there later.
Afternoon game there today.
right.
So
Okay.
all right.
He does look super happy and shiny
He
and
does.
rested.
Back from
And,
vacation,
I don't know about
somewhat
rested.
suntan. For an Irish guy, you got a pretty okay tan.
Not bad.
oh, there it is. There's the line.
Melissa Smith is here from not from Navigate as well.
Well, she could be. We hire her.
From the St. Antoine Communities. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning, everybody.
All right, time for our first message from the St. Antoine Communities, Melissa. So you take it away.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know a lot about St. Antoine Community, we are a large long-term care campus located in North Smithfield and on the line of Blackstone, Mass. and Woonsocket. And on our property, we offer an expansive continuum of services that range from assisted living to short and long-term skilled care. We have a state-of-the-art rehab center, a private hospice suite, as well as a large secured memory care unit. And the two buildings on our property are the Villa at St. Antoine, which is our 76-apartment assisted living facility, and the Residence at St. Antoine, which is our 180-bed short and long-term skilled care facility. So if you're presently at a crossroads with your loved one and trying to determine when is the right time to seek more help and support, I encourage you to reach out to me. I'll be happy to walk you through your options. You can reach me at 401-767-3500 or email me at msmith@santantoine.net. Thank you.
All right, and the reason we're all sitting around the Coffee Ann table today is because we do not know the person that won the Mega Millions yesterday at $1.56 billion.
That we know of.
So,
In Florida.
well, I don't
That
know.
we know of. There could be
Although
a...
I do know a few people that live in Florida,
Yep.
but I have not heard from them.
Did they say, I think it was Destin, Florida, maybe was the town?
town?
At a Publix market. So
Yep.
Yeah.
anybody that goes grocery shopping could have been them.
I think even the few people we may know that might be down there in that area, I'm not sure that I would be someone they would elect to
Immediately tell?
give
not
or
part of
gift
the,
any portion of it to. So
Oh,
You're not on the short list.
I'm pretty sure it's like
Wow.
a second or third cousin removed on my mom's. Like it's one of those, maybe. But
Remember, we went to Girl Scout camp when we were 5. Yeah,
yes,
we had good times back then.
Right. I think you just set up a fund for hangers-on who call you up and come out of the woodwork and say, "I'm your long-lost cousin, fourth removed, and say, here's a check for $1,000.
Here's
Go away.
$1,000. That's what I was
Go
thinking.
away.
Here's $1,000
Go
in your
away.
loan.
Right. I mean, if you took the one-time cash out, it was like $780 million, and then you got to pay your 40% tax on that. So you're probably you're going to make $400 million, and I think you
Well,
could
that's
put
okay.
you could give your fourth cousin once removed $1,000.
There
I
you
just
go.
hope they take a page out of Taylor Swift's book and then consider the generosity of sharing that out.
Right.
You
Yeah.
hope,
You hope.
Right.
you know.
You mean
and
what
really
she did the
consider-
bus drivers? She gave all the
Oh,
bus drivers
right.
$100,000. I love that.
And
That's
the
a
truck
great story.
drivers, yeah.
Right.
How many million? $500 million out of? Or no, how much was it?
They all got $100,000.
Right, but in totality
Times
of
like
all of
24
her.
or so.
I thought it was
50.
50 like
But
that.
it was not just them; it was the backup
And
dancers,
everybody else.
et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera. So you say it like that, which is $1 billion tour.
Right.
So
We-
she's got
we-
the money to spread, but
And we had the story yesterday, not to be outdone, Beyonce
I mean, come on.
had
I
what?
didn't hear that one.
I
did
mean,
not
it
hear
was
that one.
good, but I was like, oh, come on. I think we're trying to
Well,
compete for some media
She had
attention at
she
this
had her
point.
show in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
Lots of storms, thunderstorms and lightning. So their transit system is like the T in Boston. It
Right, the metro.
closes.
Yep.
Right.
So she paid $100,000, keep all the stations open and the trains running. So when my fans get out of the show, they can get home. So
Yeah, but
she gave 'em
isn't that a safety
$100,000.
reason why they closed them?
I just thought it was a timing thing.
Thunder. You said for.
Well, the show started late.
Oh, I
Because of
see.
the-
I
because of
see.
the
I see.
storm.
I got
Due
you.
to
I
weather.
got you. I got you.
Yeah.
I
So
thought
there's-
you were talking
so-
about the weather, but the weather caused the storm.
Yes.
I
So
get
her
you.
show is going to go late
Right.
past the time when the trains are running.
Yeah.
Right.
So she shelled out $100K to keep them open.
Which to her, like, what's 100,000?
Right.
Well, that's
So
right.
to me,
That's
it
all
was
they needed,
like,
I guess.
yes, she saved the day and kept the trains open. But I don't know. I think there's a little competing for the social media spotlight with her tour for some
Little-
reason.
Right.
I need
Feels a
more
little bit,
press.
yeah,
Taylor's
like
getting
not
all
qu-
the-
right,
all the
right.
press right now.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm feeling that.
Well, Still makes you look good.
Well, you had
Yeah.
Pink. Pink was in concert at Fenway for 2 nights, sold out, and I don't think Beyonce's was sold out at Gillette.
No?
There was still tickets available, so you kind of even say, someone's feeling a little
Left behind.
left behind. Yes.
Boo-hoo.
Not so big and grand. So, anyways, we won't go down a negative path this morning. Joe's
All
back
right.
from vacation.
He'll take us down there
What
soon
did you
enough.
do on
will.
vacation? Anything fun?
Yeah, what did
no,
you do,
I,
Joe?
no, nothing fun.
Nothing
Because
fun.
we're working on the house.
Okay, so it was a staycation project
Yes,
based.
and so it was throw a lot of stuff in the dumpster. That was fun.
Oh, that's a cleansing. That is fun.
Cathartic.
It is.
It is, except when you're arguing with other family members. No, we keep. No, we keep. No, we
No.
toss. No, no.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
true.
there was some of that, and my sister-in-law is down and she's helping us out, and she was working on cutting something on the table saw. Let's go to urgent care.
Oh, she cut her finger off.
Stop it.
She cut her thumb
Oh,
on her right hand from about the tip all the way down to about the knuckle.
Oh.
And I thought she was kidding until I saw the blood spots on the floor. I said, "Oh, you're not kidding."
Oh my God.
I said, "Well, maybe it's not too bad. Can I see it?" "Oh, that's not a Band-Aid. That's stitches." "Okay, well, let's go to urgent care." And when we got down there,
Thumb above your head.
yeah, that's right. It was all wrapped up in a face cloth.
The funds.
Yeah, and they got down there and they said, "Oh, we need to take an X-ray because it looks really deep. You could have hit the bone."
Oh, ouch.
And that could have been something else, but she didn't. So lucky there. And then the
And she
doctor
didn't
down
pass
there.
out, huh?
Nope,
I think I
nope,
would have
nope.
passed
She's very good at that. And just they did say, "Well, this is the most jagged-looking cut we have ever seen."
What's all this sawdust and stuff in here?
And it took 6 stitches to stitch it up in that small area. 6 stitches to keep it closed.
Man,
And she's got an appointment like next week, I think, to go and get them out. So
wow.
That's not
that was
great.
the fun trip. Let's
That's
go
not
to
great.
urgent care.
So I think the positive thing is that it wasn't you.
It wasn't me. I'm not.
But you
allowed
had to
near
look
the,
at it.
You're not allowed to the power tools.
You don't want to be the person that it happened to, nor the person that witnessed it and had to look at it.
I'm okay with wounds.
Really?
As the parent with the kids growing up, I took the kids to the ER.
Oh.
It was always me.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't
So-
have a choice. I know when we were
Sometimes, yeah.
moving from our house in Cumberland to where we are now, my daughter, like the day before we had to move, dropped a cinder block on her toe. She was 2 years old.
Oh,
And the blood that comes from a toe. And I sound like a bad mom. How did your kid
what are you doing? Walking around
touch
with
a
a
cinder block? And, right. It was one of those things where we had him in the garage. We had been packing up everything.
Yeah.
We had disassembled a fire pit in our backyard that we had, and we stacked them up so we would remember to load them on whatever. It doesn't matter. But anyways, she went into the garage. We were heading out and grabbed one off it and
And they're heavy. Yeah.
popped it on her toe, and it was blood everywhere. You have no choice in that moment when you're the only one home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everything's
let's
fine.
go.
We're gonna be okay. Let's go for a ride to the
Go for a
walk-in.
ride.
Give me the beach towel. Let me wrap your foot.
Yes. Oh.
All right, so that was mostly the vacation of just doing work around the house.
But cleansing
Stuff
like
that.
your home of stuff is a really it feels good when it feels productive when you're done.
But Tim, you know what I found out I'm not good at?
What are you not good at?
And I used to be good at this. Is putting things together like pieces of furniture,
Oh, like IKEA?
cabinets and stuff like IKEA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole following the steps.
How can you not be good at that?
No, because I can't. It's all drawings and arrows. And
Well, that's
You're
the
talking.
thing.
And
I
things
love
like that.
IKEA. Are you talking about
Oh.
IKEA's instructions specifically?
Yeah.
that was one.
I think everyone needs to adopt IKEA's instruction manual.
Don't put words in the.
No words.
Words just mess
Visuals.
it all up.
I need the words.
They give
Anyway.
you the.
You know what's even better? YouTube videos.
Oh well, that's
It's
true. But my son was down, and he's good at this.
All right, good.
So I was the guy that said when he goes scalpel, he goes pass me those wooden dowels. Here you go.
You were
Okay.
the supervisor.
I need
Joe.
6
That-
screws. Here you go.
Somebody needs to be a supervisor.
Someone's got to separate out the hardware, and so that was me.
Oh.
And then whatever you needed, can you come over and just hold this right here?
Yeah.
While he screws it in. So
That is the
was
only
my
thing
job.
that is tiresome with IKEA furniture is the Allen wrench.
Hold it up.
The
Yeah.
the cranking of everything's like secured tightly with their Allen wrench at the end.
I found
That's the only thing that gets cramping in your
I
hand.
found Allen wrench tips for my electric drill.
Oh, so
And I just but you got to be
wow.
very careful with it
Yeah,
because
you don't
you go
overstrip.
right through that real quick. But yeah, so I found that solves my problem with that.
So what did you assemble? I feel like we need to know now.
Oh, he put together a small table and something that's called a Billy cabinet.
Yes, I know
And,
those.
okay.
I bought a lot of pieces from IKEA in
And,
my time.
and it was 2 cabinets
Yeah.
that he put together. They look really nice in our garage because there's no room yet for in the house.
It's
that's
crazy.
coming,
Coming on the
so-
heels of the pandemic, they had a lot of things out of stock. We frequent there. We've
Yeah.
got 2 kids who oddly like to organize, and
Wow.
we've done various projects in our time. But
like to
it's easy to find some pieces that can blend in for a bookcase or whatever in like a living room or in a basement, for kids to hang out in. I'm telling you, I am obsessed with anything that they have that's that white finish, because you can Clorox wipe it, it never wears down, and it sanitizes really well. It's just, I'm obsessed with IKEA.
And at one point, when he was putting the Billy cabinet together, and he stood it up, I'm like, AJ, look at the bottom. And he had one of the things turned backwards.
Oh, no.
So the finish wasn't facing out.
Yeah.
He had to take the whole
Whole
thing
thing
apart
apart?
again.
Oh, I hate that.
Turn it around, put it all
gosh.
back together again. But he did it. And I was like, oh, good
Gosh.
for you. Good patience. Good patience.
Well, Joe, it's
I have
great to
none.
have you back.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Nice. Always
for
nice
returning.
to be here. I do have a note to get to. This is on the Sporting Worlds, baseball to be specific. 766-1240. Tampa Rays have problems suddenly. McClanahan reports that he may be out for the rest of the season. Glasnow is also on the IL. 2 starting pitchers. Whoa, that's a lot for them to handle. But they're still really good. The Yankees are scuffling. They keep flipping back in last place with the Red Sox. Yankees are scuffling, bad on management and doctors for not realizing Rizzo had an ongoing concussion. Played for several weeks. I didn't realize that. And they're not hitting. Toronto Blue Jays be tough throughout despite having Bichette on the injured list. They're dangerous with that lineup. And then you enter the Seattle Mariners and, of course, the Red Sox. The next 9 games are with KC, Detroit, and Washington. It's time to make hay or sink. And I think they sank last night.
I did too.
I said when I said they had to play KC in Detroit, I said this needs to be 7 wins or else forget it.
Right.
And they lost last night.
They lost
so
2 in a row.
we're done.
Yeah, and they've
So-
lost to Toronto. I mean, just it's awful.
Yep.
I fully blame Hein Bloom.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you can say that given your role with the Red Sox, but I am totally putting that on his shoulders.
It's getting the players. He said these are the guys that were going to bring us to the promised land, and they just haven't not panned out.
What's his definition of promised land would be my question.
Oh,
Certainly not the playoffs.
Yeah, that just hasn't worked out. There have been a lot of injuries this year, but anyway, speaking of that, Worcester Red Sox game last night. People say, "Gee, Joe, you've worked in baseball for a long time. Why do you keep doing it?" Because every year you see something I have never ever seen before, and this happened last night with Buffalo in the field. All right, and there's a guy, David Hamilton's on first base for us. He goes to steal second base. Catcher stands up and throws it to second base. Hit the pitcher in the back of the head. It ricocheted all. Now you've been to Polo Park.
Yeah.
It ricocheted all the way to the Worcester dugout in
Stop
the
it.
air.
Oh,
And so the guy
Did
goes
he
to
drop
second.
like a ton of bricks?
He did go down pretty
Oh
quick.
my gosh.
But the guy go on second. Well, the ball is still in play.
Yeah.
Even though the guy's dying on
Right.
the pitcher's mound.
Right.
He went to third. So it's a stolen base, error on the catcher on the throw.
wow.
Is the official ruling. They came out. He did get up and it threw a couple of pitches and how many fingers? Okay, come on out.
Right. But the
'Cause
reality
he
is-
just got clocked in the back of the head. It's unbelievable. It was
Well, and
amazing
that's
to
swelling
see
in the
it.
head without bleeding external, and
Well, we
it's
got to
like
go
a-
check for
you
concussions
have
and
to.
stuff like that.
Well, you feel bad for the catcher because
He
he's
felt
just doing his
awful.
job.
He felt
the pitcher is
terrible.
supposed to get out of
they're
the way.
Get out
supposed
of
to
the way.
squat.
Right.
And all he did when he knew the pitch was going, all he did was turn around to watch second base to watch the play.
Right.
And you are supposed to squat
You're
down.
supposed to
Or
squat.
move. Or
Right.
run to the side.
Right.
And get out of the way because
Oh
the throw
my
is coming.
God, that's awful.
And he was a player that was actually he was on rehab too.
Oh,
so
boy.
he's not really with the Toronto Blue Jays. He was making his comeback, and now he gets clocked in the back of the head.
Ugh.
And just
I mean,
something you
it's
just never
unfortunate,
expect to
but
see.
wow.
It wasn't.
That's
It wasn't
sad.
good that he walked off on his own power.
Yeah.
And nothing. So that was good. But yeah, we got to get X-rays and see if you're all
The
right.
fact that he threw it so hard that
Oh,
it
threw it
off
so
the
high.
back of his head and
so
then
were you
over by the
live?
dugout.
You're live providing commentary in that moment, and did you have?
Well, no, not me. Someone
Not
else.
you,
Someone else is
is
doing that.
Okay, I was like, if I'm that person, like mic'd up, I would be.
Oh, you got to be careful.
Oh my
They were
God!
like, oh. And then they said, well, and the thought was, well, let's watch it in slow motion. Maybe it grazed like his back and
Yeah.
then kind of hit his head
Yeah.
and went off that way. No, it hit him smack
Square
in the back
of
of the head. They
Oh,
said
boy.
right on the back of the dome.
Oh my
And
gosh!
it's like,
oh
ooh.
my gosh!
So lots of oohs.
Yeah, I'm sure
went
there
up from
was.
the crowd when that happened. It's like yikes. But glad to hear he was okay. So that's
Interesting that the runner had the presence of mind enough to just run to third.
Well, he stood up and he stood there. And now, where's the ball?
Yeah.
Of course, the third base coach is yelling, "Right, come on, come on, come on."
Wow.
And so he just took off. And so eventually the first baseman got the ball. And he could have
Jeez.
kept going. The ball
Yeah.
was in play.
Right, he could have run.
It didn't go into the dugout. It went over near it and just stopped there.
Oh,
so it was like,
wow.
I think even if you're the ump, you're in that moment saying, "Oh,
Yeah.
what is this call?
What do we do? What happens now?
What am I doing?"
well, they know. Okay, no one calls timeout, so
Right.
okay, the ball's still in play. Keep playing
Oh
until.
my gosh.
And the shortstop, he was holding his head like, "Oh God, that's gonna hurt," and the headache you're gonna
Oh,
have tomorrow
that's gonna
is gonna
hurt.
be is gonna be terrible.
Right.
All right, that's what happened in baseball. So other things just going on in the news. Oh, before we do that, we got to take a break. So Melissa, it is time for
The
time
camera
for
was on me, and I'm
That's all
responding
right.
to a work text. I'm like, "Oh,
That's okay. That's my fault.
I got
gotta move it. Time for a second message though from the St. Antoine communities.
So if you didn't win Mega Billions, Mega Bucks, Mega Billions last night, you have a chance to win in St. Antoine Community's high stake raffle contest. The
1.56
odds are
billion?
stacked way better. Not quite that
Not
much,
that high,
but
okay.
the odds are better. So we did it last year, it was a huge success. And obviously we had some very happy winners. But the grand prize is $1,000, but we have 3 other high stakes prizes to give out as well, a $500 cash and two $250 cash prizes right after that. So there's 4 opportunities to win some good money to put in your pocket as you head into the fall, or anybody who's planning for Christmas early. So stop by either one of our receptionist desks at St. Antoine Residence or the Villa, 400 Mendon Road or 10 Rhodes Ave in North Smithfield, for a chance to pick up your raffle ticket and earn a chance to maybe be a big winner. We will be doing the drawing, I think it's September 10th. Sunday at our Family Fun Day event at 1 o'clock. But you don't have to be present to win, so go ahead and swing by one of our locations and pick up your ticket, and hopefully you'll be our winner.
Very good. Thanks, Melissa. More coffee ends coming your way. You can call in your comments and questions at 766-1240.
You know, when you're paying the right price for protection, you just know it. It's that warm, fuzzy, totally secure feeling, knowing that you're not only getting great coverage, but you're also not paying too much for it. And when it comes to your insurance, there's no one better at getting the right price for your protection than Allstate agents Kara and Celeste Benjamin, because they know when it comes to your bank account, every penny counts towards something bigger, something better. Like a nicer car, that home update you've been dreaming of, or a phone that's fresh out of the box. Those little or big things that we work so hard for. And Kara and Celeste Benjamin want to help you work a little less by getting you the coverage you need and the savings you deserve when you switch to Allstate. Contact Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, 2 locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. 765-5000 for a free quote today. Allstate, you're in good hands. And you're in good hands with Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. Savings vary based on the average annual savings reported by new auto customers surveyed in 2019 who switched to Allstate.
Hi, this is Joanne Forcier Hebert, calling for all classmates of Woonsocket High School class of 1978. Come help us celebrate our 45th reunion at Bella's Restaurant in Glendale, Friday, September 15th from 5 to 10. Looking forward to sharing memories of our past and creating new ones. Please call Linda Barad Senical at 401-766-3134 for more information. We also have a Facebook page, Woonsocket High Class of 1978, to find out more information also. Hope to see you there.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee in Pawtucket. They're a 62-year-old family business that roasts all its coffee right here in Rhode Island. Founded originally as Excellent Coffee Company, they provide great coffee to food service establishments throughout New England.
ON Radio.
Here we are on Coffee and thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Melissa Smith and Tim Draper. Well, Sabina Matos is in the news for 2 things. One is she has decided, and I didn't realize this, she did not live in the 1st District.
Oh yeah.
She lives in the 2nd District. Well, now she's moved to the 1st District. Just her, and not her family. She's moved into her sister's house. Now, her husband and her kids, they're still in the 2nd District, saying, well, we're looking for a house.
They play this game. They all play the game.
Yeah? That's all you think it is?
She'll be there during the election, and then if she loses the election, she
We
won't.
won't move.
right back.
Yeah.
Right.
Just
Because not like the 1st District's the great. She wants to live in the 1st District. She,
Yeah.
You know, but if she wins, maybe she moves. Maybe she just lives at her sister's house officially as a residence. And again, don't know how you do that. Get away with that, but
Can
who
you
knows?
do that with like family members for in-state tuition for certain
I
colleges.
don't know. That's an interesting
Like
question.
suddenly my kids live with my brother in Massachusetts and now can go to,
Right.
that stuff's got to get looked
Well,
into.
okay.
I think it does, but people do it.
She moved into her sister's house in the Charles neighborhood of Providence. I'm not sure where that is, but that's in the. I didn't realize Providence was split between the first and second district.
yeah.
Her husband and children are in the Olneyville neighborhood, which is in the second district. Well, they look for a house in the first district. Got all this?
Yeah.
Can you follow it with a
Well,
straight
I
line?
mean, if she's not moving far out of Providence, then that's
No.
easy enough. But she was a council president, right? So she had to have a ward that she was responsible for when she was on the city council in Providence.
would have been Olneyville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what ward that is, but,
But
yeah.
now they decided the Board of Elections is saying, all right, we're going to look at every single signature for her to run. There's just too many questions, and I think probably too many candidates said, you got to look at every single one. There's too many questionable signatures.
Right, but I don't think it's first of all, it's all too late. The Board of Canvassers, her name's already on the ballot. They certified it. They didn't even think about it because just like everything else in Rhode Island, once you do it 20 times, everything just gets, yeah, it's fine. It works. And then when all of a sudden something rears up, it's like, uh-oh, what do we do now? Now there's no time for them to do this process.
Well, it's the Board of Elections that's going to do it.
Right.
Not-
They should have done it 2 weeks ago.
Oh, well,
when
all
they
right.
had 2 weeks. But
Yeah.
now they don't have the time, truly don't have the time.
Well, they're going to try.
Right. But what's going to happen? She's on the ballot. If she gets all the votes and she wins, does she get disqualified from being the
Well, that's like Audiello's going to be on the ballot. He dropped out. If he wins, he's not going to serve.
right.
If she's deemed not credible.
Well, I guess there's been no precedent for this at all.
No,
So the
no.
issue is, why do it now? Because there's nothing you can do. It means nothing. And I guess my point would be, why does it mean nothing? If she wins and has won on an unfair entry into the race, doesn't that disqualify her?
Well, like that's what they want to look at. Yeah.
And she would not be able to serve at that point in time. But then who does it go to? The second place finisher?
They probably have another election.
Or do they have to have another election?
Or can the governor appoint somebody?
No, I think they got to have another election. I
All
think.
right.
But I mean, these are the questions that nobody's ever asked
Yeah.
before, so they don't know the answers to them.
Yeah, that'll be more money.
It'll be more money.
And one more
and,
thing.
then, and then an opportunity for her to get her name on the ballot again
That's right.
correctly.
And so next week, a week from Thursday, the candidates will have their first debate at Roger Williams University down there in Bristol. But only the strongest performing 75% of the candidates will be invited. So right now, Sabina's leading the pack.
Right.
Still,
So who else would that be? I wonder.
probably Sandra Kano,
Yeah. It'll be Reaganberg.
Regenberg,
Scares the crap out
Alan
of me.
Waters.
Alan Waters.
I
okay.
don't know.
Isn't he? He's not the Republican. Isn't he
No,
independent?
he switched parties.
Oh, he switched parties. Okay.
I don't know if Steve Casey is in the top 75 or not.
I don't know.
There's a couple of others.
Walter Burbrick is a guy from down in.
Don,
southern part of the
Don
state.
Carlson.
Don Carlson's
He's another one.
another guy,
And
yeah.
is it Gabo Amo?
Gabe Amo.
Gabe.
Gabe
Oh,
Amo.
Okay.
He's
Those-
probably in the top
those-
5%.
I'm looking at the top. There's 5 running TV ads right now, and we've mentioned at least 5 of them.
Yeah.
So at least those are probably
Yeah.
going to be in it. So that's going to happen. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm hoping Steve Casey can get into it. I'd like to see some representation from up here.
Right.
Be part of it and see how that goes, and so that would be good. All right. Down in Providence, they had a little skirmish. What was a false alarm? Someone called the police.
Oh, down at the City
yeah,
Hall.
and said,
Yeah.
"Yep, I'm armed with a rifle,
SWAT.
and I've planted several pipe bombs around City Hall and the Providence Public Library."
Yep.
So the City Hall had to be evacuated, Providence City Hall, and the Providence Public Library was put on lockdown.
They
had to
closed.
go
They
in-
closed down like the bus station and everything too. They had to
At
reroute
Kennedy
all the,
Plaza?
Yeah, they had to reroute everything. Well,
I
the
didn't
City
know
Hall's
that.
right there in Kennedy Plaza.
Well, that's true. Yeah. All right.
if there's bombs set up, they don't want anybody in the area around. So
Those buses are expensive to replace. So, but the whole thing turned out to be nothing. It was all just a false alarm.
like, they call it swatting, which is where they make these phone calls to get
Did
the.
did the SWAT team?
Oh yeah,
come?
they all
they
came.
did.
The whole
yeah.
thing. Everybody came.
Everybody came.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
they
I've
just
heard
they
of
just
this,
want to
yeah.
see this big response.
The response.
And there's really no backstory to what they're going to do. There's no.
See, I go to
reality
I go to movie mode and I'm like, okay, so someone doing that so they can observe like how many
Other-
people come
right.
out, what their techniques are, what they're armed with, whatever, and then is there going to be something bigger coming up? But that's because my head goes to what you see in the movies.
Ooh, Melissa.
But what the I think what they do when the swatting takes place is one of the people, or maybe more than one, when they show up at these events, they're actually looking at the crowd
Okay.
to see who looks
Who's
more
watching.
interested than others, who's not in a panic
Yeah.
Yes.
kind of thing. And say, well, okay, well, you can't make a determination on one, but if it happens again, all right, do we see the same person
Yeah.
keep showing up at these events? And then they go
Yes.
after them.
Right.
So, hey,
We just wrote the next blockbuster movie.
I think so.
Script
It's a
right
good
there. You
SWAT.
got.
swatting.
I think there was already a movie called SWAT.
Well, there was SWAT. There was a
A
TV,
TV
show.
show. All right, so 100 truck drivers laid off
I know.
in
Sad.
in Cumberland and in Cranston as well.
Big terminal in Cumberland. Yep.
Yeah, just closed. This is the Yellow Corporation, which I always found amusing because their trucks are orange.
Orange.
which they're called Yellow Transportation, but yeah,
And they're Penn Freight too, right?
and Penn, New Penn Motor,
Penn Motor, yeah.
Express. So the trucking terminal on Diamond Hill Road closed, and the one on Plainfield Pike.
That's two big hits in Cumberland, by the way, because FedEx left the
Did they?
the Dean Building in the industrial park, and now these guys are leaving too. So that's a couple of big holes in the Cumberland Industrial Park that they got to fill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's too bad.
The drivers will find
I
other work.
Go
and
to,
they
gotta
go to
think,
other.
There's so many
There's no
places that
doubt.
need
Truck
drivers. God, they need
You always
truck
see it on the
drivers.
back of the
Oh my
trucks.
God,
Right.
and they-
We're hiring. Here's
Yes.
our number. You'll be home every
Right.
night.
Yeah.
And no overnight.
I think I shared on the air my father-in-law, sort of my dad-in-law, retired from Hood last fall. Like he was talking about, obviously every industry has had shortages with staff, et cetera. And he was talking about their strategy to try to recruit new drivers, but they were offering like a $25,000 sign-on bonus. They were offering the big, over the years, people have always said truck drivers like work overtime and they've got night shifts they shouldn't be driving after so many hours. So they were reducing like only max 30 hours on the road. Like the terms were really reasonable and they still couldn't recruit anybody. So I feel like there is opportunities out there between UPS,
to jump to
Amazon,
another one.
Hood.
Yeah.
They'll land on their feet, but it's just
I don't know if the truck drivers at Yellow want to go to UPS. They don't want to.
May
They don't want
not.
to do those small deliveries. We like doing the big 18-wheeler.
the
Yeah,
big
unless
guys.
unless
Get
they
the
need
pallets
drivers for
out.
the big trucks
Yeah.
to drive cross country or do whatever. I mean, UPS still has a huge fleet of tractor
Yeah,
trailers.
no, that's true. All right, so that's what took place in Cumberland yesterday, and we also had this story, Tim, and maybe you can speak to this. The rule of thumb, I guess, right now is you need, on average, $1.6 million to retire comfortably
per person.
per person. You're right.
Yeah,
And
I read that
and then the next statement is, majority of people have no savings
Yeah.
for retirement.
Yeah.
So, not that you go around and peeking people's
Right.
accounts,
I think-
but do you have you noticed that where
Well, I
people
think
don't have
if
enough?
you got like $1.6 million in a 401k
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that's managed decently, then you probably will be okay. That in combination, again, retirement is a. And I shouldn't even speak to this. Ed, not the pro. Ed's the pro, but it's a layering effect, right? It's different buckets of money in retirement that you want to choose from. So hopefully, you've been putting money in IRAs or savings vehicles, right? You've got investments, hopefully. You've got a 401k at work, if possible. And if you're lucky enough, you get a pension. So, you take all those things together and you want to try to replace roughly, they say, about 80% of your income if you can in retirement, and then you'll be comfortable.
So if you're 60 or 61, let's say, so you still got a few more years that you're working,
Yeah.
but your 401k is only at 700,000 or 800,000.
Yep.
Are they in danger?
No, I think you just try to max out what you can. I mean, when my kids were done school, I totally maxed out my 401k. I said, well, that money's not going to school anymore, so let's put it into retirement.
Yeah.
And it depends on what the company matches. So it's always free money when you've got a 401k or 403b, I guess, are the other ones. So if you're putting money in and your company's going to match, that's awesome. That's free money. You should always max that out.
Should always do that.
There's times in your life, I know, when, again, schools and other pressures that you may not be able to put in the maximum amount into your 401k. So, you scale back to what you can, but don't ever go down to zero. Always put something in because your company, again, is probably match that.
But when you get to retirement age,
Yeah.
and your 401k is at 850,000, is that going to be enough
Well,
to
remember,
live on
the 401k
till you're
is-
like 80, let's
It's
say?
always trying to get you a return. So you're
Yeah.
you're going to get a return on that money. So it may be 800,000 that, you're not going to. It's a finite amount of money, but it should get you for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Taken care of if you're reasonable about where you're taking out of it. And I don't know if the 401k has a required minimum distribution. It probably does.
There is. I've talked to Ed Crew
Right.
about that.
Okay. So there's some so you're gonna have to take something out.
Because if you don't, you get fined for not
Right,
taking it out.
For not taking it out. Right. So you take it out and you put it in the savings account, even if you don't need it.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's just it's a strategy, and the pros like Ed really know how to structure that so that you're not just saying, oh, I need a savings account full of $750,000. It's not really that at all. It's a lot of things that you're doing over time, almost like diversifying a portfolio. You're using different vehicles in order to prepare yourself for retirement. Now, my kids, when they first started working, and I've told you they work at Hasbro. Hasbro was very upfront. These are the things we have put in place for you to start retirement savings. So they immediately all went all in on their 401ks. And I'm like, that's exactly what you want to do.
Right.
And then as time goes by, you may have to tweak that a little bit, during the life changes that you have to, life happens. But when you're getting to the end, and you just pour as much as you can back into that 401k and get yourself ready for retirement. Oh, and then Social Security. Most people get some sort of Social Security
Right.
on top of that too. So there's lots of buckets that you're going to be pulling from in retirement.
So basically don't panic if you don't have the $1.6 million dollars in
Right.
retirement.
What
right
are
now.
what are your lifestyle goals too? So when you're talking about that number, it's like, am I someone who plans to travel and plans to whatever,
Right.
or am I someone who is a homebody? Like my parents don't travel much, and that's okay. They invested in a lake house, like they have a second home in a sense, and they've made choices that are different than friends of theirs. So I think that also determines. But I just want to add on to what you're saying. If you're hitting that point and you're planning for your future, are you also someone who thinks that you're accounting for healthcare someday in your late age of life, 80? Sometimes people think 80, 85, what if I need home care, or my spouse needs home care, or I need a nursing home,
Long-term
unfortunately,
care
whatever.
insurance, right.
Long-term care insurance is 100% the way to go. If you've
Right.
turned 60, start investing. That's just my 2 cents on that, because it is expensive and there's no way to avoid it. It's only going to get more expensive, and you're going to potentially be in a pickle of a situation where you need it, and thinking of paying out of the pocket for that and not having an insurance policy like that to lean back on is going to liquidate that 1.6 million very quickly.
All right.
And there's a lot of people. Ed is good at it, obviously, and he's a panelist on Coffee Inn. If Ed is not somebody that you've been to, the credit union has its own wealth management firm as well, that you can come and see our guys. We have 5 folks who will help you through planning. So there's a lot of resources out there for you to take advantage
I
of.
think it's scary that there are people in their 50s and maybe 60s that have no retirement plan.
It's not, no,
Right?
it's not uncommon, and
I know,
I
but
think
it's
we've
a-
said it on the show too. It's this gig generation, right? It's
Yes.
it's these kids that are going from job to job to job because they don't have any loyalty to any company, and no company has loyalty to them either. So that's that's true. But they're just picking up jobs, and they're surviving, and they're paying the rent, and they're paying the bills, and they're doing the things they want to do, and they're managing life through these gigs, right? These short-term temporary jobs. The problem is are they really saving for retirement? Are they using IRAs as a vehicle to save for retirement? There's no 401k in a gig life, so you're not getting any of that free money anywhere, right? You don't have a pension. You're going to get some Social Security, hopefully.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a big gap here for these young folks who are not doing steady employment with
Right.
companies that are providing retirement benefits. That unless they really understand the impact, they got 40 years of working, and then what are we doing then?
Right.
So Amanda's been on the air, and we've talked about the fact that in the school systems, there's inconsistencies in what's being taught to the kids, and there would be some real gains, some real benefits to having a mandatory financial literature type class. Yeah, she's talking to some elementary kids even
Right.
about savings accounts and things like that. But high school level, I mean, I remember being in high school and having a mandatory class that went over that for one semester. The kids today, I looked through my daughter's options and electives and whatnot. There really wasn't anything in there.
Nothing like that.
Right, and
So
even
the-
if she wanted it, it was going to be an elective, and then of course the conversation comes up. Well,
Right.
that's not going to do anything for me getting into such and such a college. I need to do these electives, not that. So they're even if it is available, they're not choosing it because it's an elective base, not a mandatory base. But it should be, in my opinion.
Well, you'll be sort of happy to know
Oh.
that in 2024, part of the graduation requirements is you have to have completed financial literacy training
In Rhode Island?
in Rhode Island.
I love it.
The problem is the state of Rhode Island can't figure out what that
what the
curriculum looks
curriculum's
like.
going to be?
Right?
Well, shouldn't they be coming to credit
So
unions
there's a
like
lot
yourself?
of
to-
credit unions and banks out there that provide financial literacy programs. We have a program called EverFi that we use in the high schools right now, and I don't know if it's used in Woonsocket. I know it's Cumberland, Lincoln, North Providence, Smithfield. where it's an online-based program, 10 modules. The kids go through it. They learn all the basics.
So smart.
But Amanda will go out, and my team, that's what my team does, is they'll go out into the schools and they'll teach financial education. Yes, to young kids. I've seen her do it in the elementary schools, and she's really good at that. But it should be done in high school for sure. But even more importantly, we've been into some of the colleges. So Bryant, CCRI, Rick, where we'll go in and we'll do a program. Maybe it's just one course, one class. It could be an hour and a half to 2 hours of just talking about what things to be aware of. And for college kids, it's almost they should almost be doing that in orientation. That should be part of orientation.
100%.
I
And it's
agree,
very
yeah.
interesting to watch. I just did my daughter's first budget with her. We just got her first car last week, and she's working crazy hours, but they're going to be winding down, school starting. And I was like, okay, let's sit down. We need to put together a budget. This is what we're going to be expecting you to contribute towards, a little bit towards insurance, a little bit towards the car we just picked up for you, used, not new.
And gas.
And then there's gas. And I said, so when you start getting into the school year and you're only working 6 hours a week and you're only getting a check that's this big, how much is going to draw from savings that you just accumulated over the summer? And then where is that going to... Anyways, seeing the whole picture in view, she was so upset.
Right.
But it's,
I don't
but
have
I said to her,
enough.
there's,
Right.
yeah, we've allowed $40 a week for spending, but you have a busy schedule. You may not spend that every week. It may not always be time to go to the mall or go out to dinner with your friends, so that can roll to the next week. And the next, just trying to give her some positive perspective that it doesn't mean you have to spend every dollar of this every single
Every week,
but
yeah.
see how some weeks, if you just hit the brakes and don't spend, you can save them towards the next week. And it's just
funny.
crazy.
There is an element of that. People think that if they have a budget, they have to spend to the budget.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
I just found it fascinating because she is a very smart kid and in the top of her class and this overachieving mentality, and talking about a very simple 3-line budget was totally mind blowing to her. And I'm like,
it's
oh
the
my God.
simplest things for these super high achievers. They're just like, wow.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Coffee and program. Time for a look at the weather forecast being brought to you by Compassion International.
Mostly sunny skies today with a high near 83. Tonight, mostly clear, overnight low of 63. Thursday, increasing clouds with a high near 83. Thursday night, some possibility of rain. Friday, sunshine and 81. Saturday, sunshine and 83. Sunday, partly sunny and 84. Monday, sunshine and 85. And on Tuesday, partly sunny and a high near 82.
Currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio on the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street, where we have sunny skies and 77 degrees. Families in poverty are facing a global food crisis. $50 provides a food kit to feed a family for a month. Just text the word radio to 97646.
At North Smithfield Urgent Care and Lincoln Urgent Care, you'll always be seen by a board-certified physician who'll diagnose your minor illness or injury. Their services include treatment for flu, fractures, rashes, ITU infections, and work-related injuries, plus physicals, vaccinations, and drug screening. North Smithfield Urgent Care, Great Road, North Smithfield, and Lincoln Urgent Care, Wake Robin Road, Lincoln. X-ray and lab on premises. At the Broaster House, it begins with chicken, family style or broasted, and continues with excellent seafood, fish and chips, fried scallops, and more. The Broaster House also serves creative appetizers like fried ravioli, boneless chicken nuggets, and the house sampler. Remember the fresh, crispy antipastos and their popular shrimp and corn chowder. Children's menu and family packs always available. The Broaster House, 263 Pond Street, Woonsocket. Available for parties and collations. 762-1717.
It is Coffee and on ON Radio. Joe Callahan here with Melissa Smith and Tim Draper. And Tim, time for a first message from Navigant Credit Union.
I feel like we just did the first message show, and that was talking about teaching young people good financial habits. And for that, we have a great product called the Embark account, and it is designed for the 13 to 22-year-old young person who is really starting to learn about their financial journey and what's important and what's not important, learning how to budget, as Melissa talked about, learning how to save money and put it away, learning how to manage your debit card and when you can spend money and when you can't spend money and why you should save for things. I mean, there's just a whole slew of educational components to the Embark account, and it's a super account for young folks to get them started on their financial journey. So if you've got a young person in your life that you want to help them learn a little bit more about their finances and about how to survive in the world financially, then bring them into the Park Square branch. office of Navigant Credit Union. See Christian and his team up there, and they will set you up with an Embark account. 233-4700 or navigantcu.org.
All right, thanks, Tim. Well, just in case you're making plans for this weekend, and you said, you know what, I haven't been out to Martha's Vineyard in a while.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
said that last night.
Were you saying that? Well,
I
Vice,
did.
Vice President Kamala Harris is going to be at Martha's Vineyard
Oh, well,
on
there
Saturday,
we go.
so
Well, that
maybe
eliminates this weekend.
maybe you don't want to go.
Why didn't she just tie it in? She was just in Boston Harbor. I was there for a concert 2 weeks ago, and she
Yeah.
was just up there for there was a Democratic convention or something
she's-
happening up there.
She's not on vacation.
Oh.
This is a fundraising campaign stop on Martha's Vineyard. It's an event invitation. It's described as a grassroots reception paid for by the Biden for President Committee and the Democratic National Committee. Of course, they won't tell you where the fundraiser will be
It must
or
be
what
at
time
Obama's
it's at.
house, don't you think? I feel like he
Did
must
they
be.
buy a house on the vineyard?
They have a
I
house
think
on the
they bought a
vineyard,
house,
yeah.
I knew they used to go to somebody's house on the vineyard, but I
Yeah,
don't
they
know
always
if
rented
bought-
it every
yeah.
year they came, but I do think they bought it too. So just be aware. Might be a little crowded on the ferry.
Oh yeah.
Well, then you know what? When I go to D.C. this weekend, that'll be great. She won't be there.
She won't be
Yeah,
there.
hey, there you go. And then from the
We tried to get a tour of the White House, by the way, and I was
No?
told that I couldn't get a tour of the White House because for the next 2 weeks they're cleaning it. They've closed the White House down to clean it.
Oh.
So there's
well,
no tours.
They got to get rid of all the cocaine.
Well, yeah, maybe. That would be sanitize it, Joe,
I
not clean it.
can't even. Topic change.
Oh, this
yeah.
is too funny.
This is gonna
So
go
we're
down.
going to do the Capitol instead.
Well,
The Library of
okay.
Congress and
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, that is
All the
my
free stuff, right?
favorite.
yeah.
The Library of Congress?
Just that whole experience, that whole tour.
I've
My
never been.
daughter was like crying because she's a big book lover, but it is so impressive and
Yeah.
it is so beautiful.
I've never been.
Oh,
I'm
you're
so
gonna love
excited.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah,
loved
really.
it. That was my favorite part of DC.
Was it?
Yep.
Nice.
From the No Kidding department.
No
there's been-
kidding.
There's been an increase in ridership in Boston because the Sumner Tunnel is closed.
No kidding.
No kidding. Can you?
Oh.
Who would have thought that, right?
Yeah. I got
But-
to getting into Logan Airport the last time I went and the Sumner Tunnel being closed. I was actually surprised how easy it was to get in.
Yes.
It's getting out. That's the
It's
problem,
getting
right?
out that's the nightmare, especially because I was going out the north side.
Ooh,
I needed to go up
man.
over the Zakim Bridge and everything, and so I'm like, oh, they take you back down to 193, then they spin you back up
all
in
the
the
way
tunnel.
around.
I spent more time in tunnels that day, and none of them were the Sumner Tunnel,
And the T is still urging people keep using that public transit.
even though it's going to come off the rails. It's no big deal.
Because we're going to open up the Summer Tunnel at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So they're still right on track to
right.
do it. All right. So, and in Massachusetts, we talked about it yesterday, but now it's official. Governor Maura Healey declared a state of emergency. Because-
what?
Isn't that ironic when you think about it?
It's because of the homeless. And there's more migrant people have shown up.
Right.
And so nearly 5,600 families are now being housed in emergency shelters. And that's 80% higher than a year ago. 80%.
So they open the doors with the policies that they do or don't have that allow people to just flow in,
Yep.
and the southern states can't stand it, so they ship them everybody up north, and the people up north go, "Come on, we have big open arms up here," and then all of a sudden they realize, "Oh, we don't have any money to handle all this stuff, so now we're
Got
going
no
to
room
declare a
put
state
'em
of
either.
emergency."
Yeah.
So it's like,
So
Why-
now, by doing this, they get federal money, or they want federal money.
yeah.
They appeal to
And
the
they'll
federal
get it.
government to help fund to build new shelters.
Isn't that what our governor's doing? Looking at buildings now to try to create housing for folks out there.
It's more than just housing.
It is.
That's
It's
the
a-
reality of it, and it's mental health support and it's nutritional support. It's layered, but we were even up in Burlington, Vermont, a few weeks ago at UVM, and there's like a downtown area there. The population of homeless was mind blowing. You
Right.
think to yourself,
Really?
I'm driving through
It's Vermont.
mountains,
That's
remote
why.
Beautiful
mountain
up there,
terrain,
yeah.
and then you get up there to Lake Champlain area, and then you actually see how large of a population there is of homeless folks, and it's devastating. But it really goes to show you it's widespread. It's not unique to just cities and,
Right.
and urban areas. It is everywhere. We were in Concord last summer,
Yep.
New Hampshire, same thing.
Yep.
Manchester. Some of these areas had never had issues before. So
The
what's
pro-
driving it? You
Right.
know.
Last year, the problem up at Loon was staffing. Of course, nobody could get
course,
people to
yeah.
work. But it's not that they couldn't get people to work. It's they had no place for them to be.
Mm-hmm.
So the resorts will oftentimes go overseas and get people to come over on work visas for the summer. College kids and things
Yep.
come over for the summer. So there's a lot of international people working in the hotels and stuff in Lincoln, but there's no place for them to live. And so the guy that owns the building that we stay at they actually bought a few houses in the area so that they could put their staff
Yep.
in these houses when they were there. And I think that's kind of what's
Which
happening
needs
now.
to happen. I mean, if you at this point, right, staff retention, you've gone in circles with it at Navigant. We have too in healthcare. You come up with creative ways to say, how can I ensure that my employees are taken care of and that they're not going to leave us
Right.
and not have barriers to supporting their families.
Right.
It's just that I think that's great. I do.
So Massachusetts is the only state, the only one with a law that guarantees homeless families access to a shelter.
But
And as Dave said, if California didn't do it first, what makes you think it's going to work here?
Right.
Yeah. Well, access to a shelter is different than
That's
them
if-
actually accepting that help and
That,
going
yeah,
to a
that's if
shelter.
you want to go.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
if you want to go. And there's a large section of the homeless population that does not want to live inside.
Yep.
For whatever reason. They just want to be
Well,
outside.
they don't want to be told what to do. I mean, you're
Right.
registering when you go in, so then now you have
Right.
almost a tracker on you, right? So,
They like their tent and
Yeah.
they want to be there. So
It's because they can do things that they don't need to be accountable for.
yeah, it's my sister is a CEO of a mental health organization in Rhode Island, and we go in circles about this as well. I feel like that's my tagline today: in circles. Everything is in circles. We're all spinning, but we've talked about the fact that her organization has been there to support homeless folks trying to go into some of the hotels that have been designated in Rhode Island for the homeless population, but they have a contract to have to provide so many hours of mental health and counseling support and availability for med management even. People don't want to go in there. They don't want someone to be regulating their medications. They don't want someone to be telling them what to do, what to reduce, what to increase. And it's part of the agreement. If you're going in to seek housing, especially in the winter and in poor weather situations, they don't want that thumb on them. They don't want to be tracked. And that's where the breakdown becomes. It's just...
But then whose responsibility is there a responsibility? Do we have a responsibility to track
as a
them?
society,
Or do we let them live the life they want to live?
Well, I think this could be like a 10-hour-long dialogue, Tim. But I think that goes back to people are resisting,
Yeah.
and then they're creating havoc, and there's additional violence, and there's additional drug use on the streets because they are bucking the system, and they're saying we want our freedom, and this is what we choose to do. But that's not helping them. It's not helping others. It's a big disaster, and I don't know the actual solution.
Yeah, I
And I
don't-
think everyone's struggling to find that solution. But
all right. On another note, let's see, 766-1240 to the panel. Immigration, it's a problem we have to deal with, and we may never solve it. We created it as well.
Well,
Yeah.
it's probably right.
And there'll always
And
be the
there's
people
issue-
that always think that, well, I know what's best for you.
Right.
Even though you might want to be in the shelter, but no, you want to be outside.
Right.
And I'm telling you, no, it's better if you're in there.
Yeah.
Listen to me, I know best.
Yeah. It's minus 13 degrees outside, and you're in a tent. We think you should be inside.
Yes.
No, I want to be outside. Okay.
it's your choice.
Yeah.
Nice to know you.
Here's a bottle of
No,
water.
That's right.
Right now, that's very cold-hearted, I realize, and it's like, well, you're not very, you're not a good Catholic if that's the case. You're thinking that, but it's at some point the old saying, "You can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink."
That's right. Yeah. All right. Also in Massachusetts, I follow this story because it was shocking because there was a woman that was running the Registry of Motor Vehicles in Brockton that was taking money for passing grades and not having them
heard that.
actually take the tests.
Take the written test, and I'll grade it.
Yeah, and you just pass. So a former official at the registry has they've been sentenced. Prosecutors say Mia Cox Johnson took cash in exchange for giving passing scores on the learner's permit test for passengers and commercial vehicle drivers' licenses. Cox Johnson was sentenced yesterday, 4 months in prison, and a year of supervised release, with the first 6 months spent under home confinement.
Wow.
4 years in prison.
4 months.
4 months. I'm sorry. 4
Yeah,
months.
4
I was
years.
thinking
is
4
a
months.
lot.
I'm like, that's
4
all-
months.
No, 4 months.
I think she had to give back the money too. How
much do you charge for that? I wonder.
I think it was like $100 a person.
Wow.
You want to pass
You got
the
to
grade?
do that an awful lot then.
But she got away with it for a
So
while.
what happens to all those licenses?
I think they were contacting them and say, you actually got to come back and take the tests.
Wow.
Can you
Yeah,
imagine getting
what a-
that call? Oh, my
Oh,
God, I
yeah.
find that to be awesome.
Because if they don't, they just suspend their license, and then if
That's
something
right.
happens,
That's
there's a-
right.
Yeah. Wow.
And they probably say that. No, we're suspending your license until you come back and take the test for real.
Right.
My
Yikes.
nephew had me laughing last week because he just did his online. He did the course online. They don't have a mandatory in-person. I assumed it was mandatory in Rhode Island. He's in Massachusetts, and it's not mandatory. So our daughter did it in person, a treacherous 5 days of the most boring time of her life. And he's bragging, I got to do it from home on the computer. I had music in the background, a bag of snacks. Like, I was happy, fine. But he got like an 82. She got like 100. But anyways, he was talking about like, why did they even have to tell us like certain facts of history on different laws and when they were created and invented? Doesn't have anything to do with driving. And they're both of them had two very interesting different takeaways from the class. But I thought even that, right? Kids self-teaching online, something as important as driving. I think that should be back in the classroom.
Almost,
I
I
do.
like
I think it should be back in the classroom because they don't have the attention span. It's different than us as grown-ups maybe taking like a higher ed class online and going after a second degree. These are kids. These are 15-year-old
listen,
kids.
They're basic skills when you're driving essentially a killing machine if you don't know how to operate it.
Absolutely
Yes.
a killing machine, and that's what I keep emphasizing every day.
All right. We'll take another break here on the Coffee and program.
As
So,
of,
Tim, time for a second message from Navigant Credit Union.
Joe, I think I just want to. I like to do the second commercial. Talk a little bit about fraud and security and taking care of yourself. We have seen an uptick in the grandparents scam lately. The last month or so, we've had several members come in. We've been able to thwart most of them, but we have had a couple slip through the cracks, and they just give their money away, and it's heartbreaking to watch. But I'm just telling you, when somebody calls you on the phone and says that your grandchild or your niece or your nephew is in jail, and then they put that person on the phone and it even remotely sounds like them, end the call as quickly as you can, and then turn around and call your loved one and find out if indeed they're in trouble. And then when you come to the bank, because you've kind of gone through the first phase of this whole scam, and we start asking you questions because you're looking for unusual amounts of money, transaction that is not normal in your pattern, please don't be mad at our team. Please don't be offended. Please don't yell at them. The reality is we're just trying to make sure that you're not being taken advantage of. And in some cases, we'll have people leave the branch crying because they're so happy that we stopped the problem. And we'll help walk you through it. Our chief security officer and his team are great. They will hold your hand through this trying time if necessary. But you got to be able to accept that help. And believe me, there's no judgment, there's no pride in this or loss of pride. This happens to lots of really good, smart people who just fall for it. So, be your own advocate, be your best advocate. We have a whole resources section on our website under the Help and Resources tab, where you can go down and learn more about these big scams that are going on, and don't fall for them. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask us. We're only here to help, honestly. Promise
All
you.
right. Thanks, Tim. More of the Coffee and program is coming up. Stay tuned.
Krakow Deli Bakery and Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal real special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogi with onions and dirty sour cream, or pick up golubki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported goods. We're open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 9 to 6, Wednesdays 9 to 5, and Saturdays 8 to 5. Follow us on Facebook to learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street in Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery and Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love. Remote car starters are great to have in the summertime. They can cool off the inside of your car when the sun is blazing. Stop by Inferno Audio on Clinton Street in Woonsocket and speak to Keith about how easy it is to have a remote car starter installed in your vehicle. Now, if your air conditioner isn't working in your car, no problemo. Inferno Audio can make it work. So don't drive around with a hot car burning your fingertips. That's not safe. Plus, they can make car keys for any make or model of vehicle, and the price will be far less than the dealership would tell you. Stop in today and see Keith at Inferno Audio, 160 Clinton Street, Woonsocket, just next to KFC.
Hi, this is Joanne Forcier Hebert, calling for all classmates of Woonsocket High School class of 1978. Come help us celebrate our 45th reunion at Bella's Restaurant in Glendale, Friday, September 15th from 5 to 10. Looking forward to sharing memories of our past and creating new ones. Please call Linda Barad Senecal at 401-766-3134 for more information. We also have a Facebook page, Woonsocket High Class of 1978, to find out more information also. Hope to see you there.
It is Coffee and on ON, AM and FM. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Tim Draper and Melissa Smith. Let's get to the fun stories.
Oh, here we go, Melissa. Get ready.
Let's
Buckle
see.
in.
Bracing myself.
This is funny. It's funny and it's not. It's actually a little bit on the sad side. But in Rome, Italy, an Italian cheesemaker is dead after being crushed by thousands of wheels of cheese.
Oh, jeez.
The man was checking on the cheese in his company's warehouse. It's unclear how the first collapse that triggered the domino effect occurred.
This is actually really sad.
There were 10 corridors
Joe,
of
kinda
shelves that stretched floor to ceiling with about 1,600 rounds of cheese per corridor. And it took more than 11 hours to find the 74-year-old man's body under
74.
the
Wow.
cheese.
That guy's been making
Moving-
cheese his whole life doing that
moving
whole
one
This is
wheel at a
actually
time.
really
Right.
sad. And that is a really tragic way to die.
That is-
and smelly way to
crushed
die.
by,
Like,
crushed by cheese.
That was
What do you
crushed
do
by
with cheese?
cheese.
Do you have to get rid of all the cheese or just the one that fell on him?
Well, there's going to be a lot on the floor, too.
Yeah, true.
So I don't know what they're going to do with
Well,
the
you
cheese.
know, you ever see the way they stack those things? It's all like rickety shelves and those
Yeah.
old, wherever, some of the older cities where they make cheese and stuff. It just, yeah.
But how are there not regulations on
It's
how
Italy.
high and how wide it can be stacked? Like I think about even like regulations inside our storage rooms at
but it's
St.
a-
Antoine. You can't be so
Right,
many inches
but
from
it's
the
a different,
ceiling.
It's a different country.
Right.
Oh
And they
my
don't have the
God.
regulations that
Well,
we
there
even
probably
have.
will be now that this guy
Well,
died
maybe we can't stack it floor to ceiling anymore.
And
That would be a bad
they'll
thing.
they'll probably blame him for doing something wrong versus the
Well, he
world is out to get
You
everybody.
know, maybe he tripped and banged into
True.
a roll, and it just sort
Maybe one of the
whooshed.
shelves
Here
broke.
it all comes.
It's
and,
all wood. Maybe it just
once,
rotted and broke.
And once the domino effect takes place, that's it. It's all coming down.
It's all coming down.
It's just the way
and
it
if
is.
you're, depending on how deep the row is, you can't run fast enough to get out.
Do you run across this one, Tim? This is out of Ocala, Florida. Marion County, Florida police. They're looking for the suspect accused of using a dead person's credit card to get cash.
Yeah, that happens all the
That
time.
happens.
Does it?
yeah.
All the
Isn't
time.
that sad too?
The sheriff's office shared surveillance image of the man using an ATM at a Florida credit union earlier this month on social media. Police say someone used the victim's card to take out more than $18,000 in cash advances between February and March. The victim reportedly died last September, which led bank employees to flag the account. Marion police are asking for the community's help identifying the potential suspect. Would that be an inside job? Would that be someone that knew the dead person? Because wouldn't you have to know the PIN to get the cash out?
For a credit card, yeah, you would have to have a PIN for a credit card to get cash out of an ATM machine. Absolutely,
Yeah.
that and a debit card. So that somehow that information was obtained before the person could try to do it. Unless yeah, that's interesting. Right, that's exactly what have to happen.
But it happens.
So
A lot of people use dead persons.
was
credit
it a
cards.
relative?
It doesn't say. They're not saying
Because
who
no
the
one would have to
suspect
know the guy
is,
died.
and they
Then
haven't
you have
got
to
it.
have the physical card.
Right.
Because you can't put a number in an ATM machine like you would a credit card machine. You can't
Yeah, you gotta put the
manually
card
enter the
into
number.
the-
You got to put the card in.
And you got cameras at every ATM.
In 14 different positions.
So they're gonna spot you.
Right. You're desperate at that point, or
All
you're
right.
not intelligent, or both.
All right, Melissa, what would you do if this was you in this situation? The experience of a Florida couple may have you thinking twice the next time you have to use the bathroom. Hollywood, Florida's Crystal Collins and her husband found an iguana in the toilet last week. And it wasn't a pet iguana.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was cooling down. It's hot in Florida.
I know. Her husband was the first to see it, and she sarcastically says his screams were quite manly.
Sounds like the day I saw the
there
skunk.
was a
My
there is
family
a
made fun
viral
of me.
video I happened to see yesterday of a husband like putting together a cabinet on his living
right.
room floor, and the wife had a remote control snake that she. And the
That's not
squeal
funny.
scream that came out of his mouth, and I sympathize. I mean, I was watching it like absolutely horrified. I looked at my husband after I saw it, and I'm like, never. Ever. We will be divorced. But
Right.
that kind of stuff, I hear those stories all the time. In New York, they say there's always, I mean, you're talking about an iguana, and I understand the difference, but
Yeah.
snakes come up through the pipes in the
Yeah.
bathrooms and big high rises in New York all the time, and I'm like, I can't.
So,
I can't.
uh,
That would freak me. I'd never be able to go to the bathroom again.
My family makes fun of me from a time we went camping down at Fisherman's, and I will tell the story only because they tell it everywhere they can. We're sitting at a picnic table right outside the camper, and the lights are on, and we're having a good time playing cards or something. And then all of a sudden, everybody gets up and they kind of walk into the camper quietly, open the door, walk in the camper, close the door,
And they
then
look
they
you?
all look at me, and I'm sitting there, and where did everybody go? And they look down, and there is Pepe Le Pew right next to me on the ground, looking up at me.
Skunks are
I
cute.
jumped on top of the picnic table.
Oh, well.
I've never and screamed. They just laugh at
But
that.
why
and
did you do
you
that?
wanna
Because that's
scare
gonna make
them.
it spray.
I
Did
was
it
trying to get
spray
it away.
you?
No, it didn't. I was just trying to get it square.
You're
Wow.
I was
so
afraid of that,
lucky.
but-
You're so lucky because that is
Literally, Melissa,
bad
sitting here like this,
stuff.
I look down and he is right there, looking at me, like, "Hey, what's up? You got any food?"
Maybe
I had.
He identified you as like a family member. Like they normally are really defensive and
Right.
Not
right.
friendly.
Well, you know what? It was Fisherman's, and that's a pretty popular campground. So my guess is that they were kind of socialized a little bit to
used
people
to
being around.
people.
I've been down in Jamestown at the Beavertail, I guess,
Yeah.
or there was a campground down there, and it's at dusk,
Yep.
which is when they come out.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting at a picnic table, and not wearing any shoes. It ran across my feet.
Yeah.
So little furry things just ran by. I said, they said, the people down there, it's just the skunks. Don't worry about it. Leave them alone.
I
And
probably
everything will be
did.
fine."
You're right. I probably made the worst of it by jumping up on the table and making an idiot of myself, screaming like a
So
little girl.
these people in Florida said they called a friend. The friend came over, got a garbage bag to put it on the iguana to get it out of the toilet. That's when they realized the iguana was still alive.
Oh.
And the woman says if it does happen again, they may have to move.
Oh, it was in their bathroom in the house.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, yes, that's
Yeah.
the thing. Oh my God.
Did it
These are
cut?
the
I wonder if it
heebie-jeebies,
came
huh?
up through the toilet or just
They said
walked
it-
into the house and came in.
Oh, they didn't say, and they don't say how large
Yeah.
the iguana is.
And then you talk about us New Englanders freaking out over like a mouse in a
Right.
house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think about that a lot. Like
That-
all of us in the woods have pest control contracts and whatever over like mice issues.
Right.
But that's an iguana who got in their toilet.
That's
That's
when
a whole
That's
nother
when you see the
level of
people-
concern.
You see the people golfing in Florida. There's an alligator walking across the
Oh yeah,
greens.
yeah. They're like, we'll just wait till he
We'll
moves.
wait till he moves because
Oh
we
my
got to play
gosh.
through. All right, that does it for the show for today. Thank you very much for listening in. John Ward returns next week
Dun, dun,
to
dun.
the Coffee and program, so please
That's
join
right, I'm
us
not
for
coming.
that. So Tim's not coming in because of that. Amanda LaRose will join us next week
I'll see you
on
weekend.
Coffee. So Tim, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks, Joe, for having me. Enjoy the God-given day, everybody.
All right, Melissa Smith, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
All right, this is Joe Callahan. Have a great day, everyone, and stay tuned. Gary Smith and the crew. Do you remember coming away at 9:30?
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news. Democrats running in the special election for Congress in the 1st District will debate on August 17th at